Man, my life, it's just a never-ending dumpster fire, you know? Like, I'm Alex, early 20s, scraping by in this tiny, rented place in some city I barely know. Just hopping from one crappy odd job to the next, trying to stack enough cash to, I don't know, just keep the lights on. It's been 5 years since Mom and Dad died, and ever since, it's just been this mess, a complete, utter wreck. And if you ask me, the biggest damn reason for it all? Mark and Jake. Those two bastards. The sting of it still bites every single day. Being kicked out of my own house, my parents' house, our house, 5 years ago. It felt like yesterday sometimes. I can still picture that night, cold as hell, their faces. Ugh. Mark, my best friend, standing there with that duffel bag already packed for me, like he'd been planning it for weeks. And Jake, my cousin, just leaning against the doorframe, arms crossed, watching me with eyes that didn't even seem to see me, just past me, like I was already gone. They talked about my financial situation, how I was not worthy of the place. Bullshit. It was all about the house. They saw an opportunity, saw a kid who just lost his parents, an easy target. They wanted it, plain and simple. Wanted to get rid of me, kick me to the curb so they could claim what wasn't theirs. That's what I tell myself anyway. That thought that they were just greedy, selfish bastards, it's the only thing that made sense back then. The only thing that made the sheer gut punch of losing my home, losing them, and then losing everything else bearable. It wasn't about me being crazy or broken. It was just them. Human nature, you know? Ugly, but understandable. In my head, it's a simple truth. They were consumed by greed, by pure, unadulterated selfishness, and that's it. That's the story I replay over and over whenever the ache in my chest gets too much. It's a bitter pill, sure, but it's a pill I can swallow. It keeps the other, darker thoughts away. I'm okay, though. I mean, I'm still here. I'm surviving. Barely, maybe, but I'm still breathing, still fighting, still trying to build something out of nothing. But God, the house and them, they're always there, lurking at the edges of my thoughts like a splinter under the skin. One night, I was just scrolling through my phone, flicking past endless garbage, just trying to numb my brain after another long shift at the damn diner. And then, there it was. A post from some old neighborhood group. A photo. My house. The old place. The one Mom and Dad worked so hard for. The one Mark and Jake kicked me out of. It looked exactly the same. The same peeling paint on the porch. The same overgrown bushes. That wonky gutter near the garage. But there was something about the light. Or maybe it was just my head playing tricks. Something off. It looked too still, too quiet, like it was holding its breath, or like it was waiting. And speaking of those two, Mark and Jake, they just vanished after that. Poof, gone, not a trace. I mean, I never heard from them again, and any time I'd bump into someone from the old neighborhood, they'd avoid the subject, or just shrug. Nobody seemed to know. Nobody cared, I guess. It was weird, like they just ceased to exist. I've tried looking them up, online searches, social media, nothing, zero, zip. It's like they were never even real people, just ghosts that popped up to screw me over and then faded away. It almost makes the whole greed thing harder to swallow, honestly. If they got the house, where are they? Why aren't they flaunting it? But then I tell myself, maybe they got what was coming to them. Maybe karma's a bitch. The longer I stared at that photo, the more it dug its hooks into me. This gnawing feeling deep in my gut, like a persistent itch I couldn't reach. I had to go back. I just had to. Not for them, not really, but for me. To see it again with my own eyes. To prove to myself that they were living it up, swimming in the money from selling the place, just to confirm what I already knew. Or maybe just to finally get that damn house and their smug faces out of my head for good. It felt like an obligation, a debt I owed to my past self, to finally put that chapter to rest, even if it meant tearing open old wounds. That night, it was bad. The dream. Not the usual one, where the house is just empty, echoing, and I'm alone in the silence. This time, it was different. Pitch black. Seriously, utterly dark. I couldn't see my hand in front of my face. I was inside, I knew that much. The air felt heavy, thick, like dust and old memories. And I was just walking, wandering from room to room, feeling my way along walls that felt colder than they should. I was looking for something or someone, but I didn't know what or who. Just this frantic, desperate urge to find it, whatever it was. The silence was intense, pressing in on my ears until they started to ring. Then I heard it. A whisper. Not a word, not really, more like a sound, a breath of air that wasn't air, brushing past my ear. A soft, sibilant sound, like dry leaves scuttling across a wooden floor, or maybe something else, something trying to form words but failing. It was so faint, almost nothing, but it was there. And it wasn't alone. Another whisper joined it, then another, a chorus of faint, indistinct sounds swirling around me in the dark, like secrets, like hushed conversations from people who weren't there. My spine felt like someone had poured a bucket of ice water right down it. My breath caught in my throat. I couldn't move. My skin prickled all over, like a million tiny needles. The whispers started to get louder, closer, swirling around me, in me, until I thought my head would split. My heart was slamming against my ribs, a frantic drum trying to beat its way out. I shot awake, instantly, sitting bolt upright in my cheap, too-soft bed, drenched. Seriously, soaked in sweat, like I'd just run a marathon in a sauna. My breath came in ragged gasps. My eyes darted around my dark, cramped apartment, trying to find what? Nothing. Just the familiar shadows of my clothes pile and the forgotten pizza box. Man, what the hell was that? Just a dream, a damn nightmare, that's all it was. But the cold, that deep, chilling cold that had gripped my spine in the dream, it hadn't gone away. It was still there, a lingering frost deep in my bones. And the whispers? No, that was just my imagination. But a part of me, a tiny, terrified part of me, couldn't shake the feeling, couldn't shake the idea that those whispers, those damn indistinct sounds, they had somehow followed me out of the dream. Still echoing, still there, somewhere, just at the edge of hearing. In my head? Or maybe not. So, yeah, I did it. Drove for hours, just me and my beat-up ride, putting hundreds of miles behind me, back to the old neighborhood, the one I swore I'd never see again. But that picture, man, it just wouldn't let go. So here I was, standing at the rusty old gate, staring at the house. My house, or what used to be. My heart was doing this frantic drum solo against my ribs, right there in my chest. Thump, thump, thump. It stood there, big and old, just like I remembered, but maybe more run down than I pictured in my head. Like it had aged 10 years in 5. The paint on the porch was definitely peeling worse. Those bushes were a mess, and that wonky gutter near the garage looked like it was about to give up the ghost entirely. I just stood there, letting it all sink in, this monument to everything I'd lost. And then, without even thinking, I could almost see their faces, Mark and Jake, smug as hell, pushing me out the door. The thought, that ugly memory, it twisted my mouth into this sour, bitter grin. Yeah, that's what they wanted. I still believed it, deep down in my gut. Those bastards, they kicked me out, no question. Even if the place looked abandoned, like nobody had touched it in years, I figured they must have done something with it. Sold it off for scraps, maybe, or turned it into some forgotten storage unit. Whatever, it didn't matter. What mattered was finding them, Mark and Jake. I'd find them all right. In my head, I'd already rehearsed the whole damn confrontation, over and over. I'd corner them somewhere, somehow, and make them admit it. Make them spit out the truth of what they did, why they did it. I swore to myself, right there in front of that tired old house, that I wouldn't let it go. Not this time. The front door was locked, obviously. Big, old-fashioned padlock on it. No surprise there. I pushed on it, just to be sure, and the wood groaned, a hollow, empty sound. Nobody home. Definitely. I walked around the side, scuffing my sneakers on the overgrown weeds. Peeking through the dusty windows was like looking into a murky fish tank. Just old, cluttered furniture covered in sheets, shadows dancing in the corners. Nothing special, really. Just junk. Everything looked like it had been left exactly as it was, untouched. This made less and less sense. If they were so greedy, so keen on getting their hands on the house, why would they just leave it to rot? This wasn't how greedy people operated, right? They'd gut it, sell it, flip it, not abandon it. The sheer neglect of the place, it gnawed at me, like a tiny, persistent worm wriggling in my gut. I tried to get some answers, knocked on a few doors, the ones I remembered. Mrs. Henderson, a couple of houses down, just gave me this wide-eyed look and mumbled something about not seeing them around. Mr. Davies, from across the street, just waved me off, didn't even open his screen door. Everyone just seemed uncomfortable. They'd avoid my eyes, shift their weight, or change the subject as soon as I brought up Mark or Jake, like their names were some kind of curse. The whole thing felt off, like a bad smell you couldn't quite place. Finally, I got to Mr. Johnson's place, way at the end of the street. He was out in his yard, trimming his rose bushes, same as always. His hands were gnarled, but his movements were steady. He looked up when I got close, and his eyes, usually so sharp, had this weird, almost pitying look. "Alex, my goodness, son, look at you." We talked for a bit, small stuff, the weather, how I was doing. Then I brought it up, tried to sound casual, but my voice still caught a little. "Mr. Johnson, you wouldn't happen to know what happened to Mark and Jake, would you? After I left?" He stopped trimming. His hand, mid-air, just froze. He turned, slowly, and faced me fully. That strange look in his eyes just got heavier. He didn't meet my gaze directly. He looked past me, toward my old house, then shook his head, a slow, deliberate movement. "Poor kid," he said, real quiet, almost a whisper. "You shouldn't come back here, Alex." He didn't say anything about Mark or Jake, didn't explain. Just that. You shouldn't come back here. And then he turned back to his roses, clipped one with a sharp snip, like the conversation was over. Just like that. His words hung in the air, thick and heavy. A chill, cold and sharp, crawled up my spine. Poor kid. What did that even mean? And I shouldn't come back here? It wasn't they shouldn't have done what they did. It was I shouldn't come back. Something about it just didn't sit right. But I pushed it down. Had to. Mark and Jake. Greedy bastards. That was the story. The only story. I spent the next 2 nights parked down the street, hidden away in my car, just watching the house. Like some creep, I guess. Couldn't help it. It was like a magnet. The street lights barely reached this far, so it was mostly just shadows and the faint glow of the moon, if it was out. Every now and then, I'd swear I saw something. A shadow flitting past an upstairs window, or heard a soft creak, like someone walking across a floorboard from deep inside the house. I'd tell myself it was just the wind,
Or maybe some squirrels had found their way in. Or just my damn stress, making me imagine things. My brain was probably just fried, after all those late nights, all that crap. Just seeing things. Had to be. One of those nights, probably around 2 a.m., I was dozing off in the driver's seat, my neck cricked at a weird angle, trying to get some sleep. And then it hit me. The dream. The same damn dream as before. The house, pitch black. That heavy, dusty air. And the whispers. Oh God, the whispers. This time, though, they weren't just a jumble of indistinct sounds. They were clearer, sharper. And they were calling my name. Alex. Just my name. Over and over. It wasn't from everywhere. It was coming from a specific place. From the wall. The living room wall. The one my mom loved. Alex. It scratched at my ears, raw, like nails on a chalkboard, but inside my head. I shot awake, heart hammering like a drum solo gone totally off the rails. My whole body was drenched, cold sweat plastering my shirt to my skin. Outside, the wind had picked up, really howling now, whipping through the old gnarled trees, making these weird, almost animalistic groans. My breath hitched. And then I looked up, at the house. The second-story window, the one from my old bedroom. A curtain, that old faded yellow one my mom had hung up years ago, the one I hadn't thought about in forever. It moved, just a slight flutter.
But there was no damn way the wind was strong enough to do that. Not inside a closed window, no. And then, for a split second, I saw it. A dark spot, like a black dot against the deeper black of the room beyond, just for a heartbeat, like an eye staring right back at me. And then it was gone. Gone. Just a flicker, a trick of the light, probably, or my tired, messed up brain. "What the hell?" I whispered, my voice barely a rasp. "Is someone in there?" I fumbled for the car door handle, my hands shaking so bad I almost dropped my phone. My heart was still trying to escape my chest. I needed to get out, get closer, see what that was. But then it was like someone had poured concrete into my shoes. I couldn't move. My legs wouldn't listen. This invisible force, this pure, unadulterated fear, it just slammed into me, held me rooted to the spot. Fear? Why the hell was I scared? This was my house, my old house. What was there to be scared of? It was just empty, or so I told myself. But then Mr. Johnson's words, his quiet, pitying voice, echoed in my ears. "You shouldn't come back here, Alex." For the very first time, the solid, unshakable story I had built for myself, the one about Mark and Jake, about their greed, their betrayal, it felt brittle, like a thin sheet of glass just starting to crack. No, it couldn't be. It had to be them. It had to be their fault, didn't it? But that dark spot in the window, those whispers in my dream, and that goddamn cold in my bones, they were screaming something else entirely, and for a terrifying moment, I couldn't silence them, not anymore. Man, those next few days, they just blurred into one big messed up mess. The weird stuff kept piling up, like someone was trying to build a really twisted tower out of my sanity. I'd hear whispers, clear as day, even when I was wide awake, driving down a busy street. Just soft little sounds from inside the house, like someone was shuffling around, or maybe just letting out a long, heavy sigh. Like the place was alive, and breathing. Sleep? Forget about it. It became this rare, precious thing I couldn't quite catch. Every time I closed my eyes, it was the same damn scene, the dark spot in the window, that pinpoint of black against the even deeper black. Like an eye, staring. And it wasn't Mark, or Jake. No way. No way. That thought just dug its claws in, scratching at my brain.
The house, Mark, Jake, the whole damn tangled mess just twisted itself into this gnawing feeling I couldn't shake, a deep, cold dread that settled right in my bones. I tried to tell myself it was just stress, just my head playing tricks, too many late nights, too much coffee, not enough real food. Maybe it was just some stray cat or raccoons making noise in the attic, squirrels running around in the walls maybe. But then that image would flash, quick and nasty, that eye, that dark, unblinking spot, watching me from my old bedroom window. Someone was there. Someone was. And it wasn't human, not like Mark or Jake. That much I knew deep down, even if I fought it. So yeah, I cracked. My whole mission, the one I'd been clinging to like a life raft, it just started to crumble. Confronting Mark and Jake, making them admit their greedy bullshit, it felt small now, insignificant, because something else, something way bigger and colder, was lurking. And it was in my house, the one I'd been so obsessed with. I knew I had to find out what the hell was going on, not for them anymore, not for some petty revenge, but for me, to understand what kind of messed up craziness had taken root in my old home, the truth, no matter how ugly. I spent another afternoon just driving, circling the old neighborhood like a vulture. My hands were tight on the wheel, knuckles white. My phone was dead, of course, always is when you need it. I just kept my eyes peeled, looking for a familiar face, anyone who didn't look away when I tried to talk. And then I saw her, Mrs. Eleanor Vance, my mom's old friend, 2 houses down from mine. She was out front, same as always, carefully trimming her rose bushes. Silver hair, pulled back neatly. That gentle smile that always made me feel like a kid again, even now. She looked normal, like a piece of the past that hadn't changed a bit. It was a weird comfort, in a terrifying kind of way. I pulled over, parked my beat-up car a little awkwardly, and then just sat there for a second. My chest felt tight, like a fist was squeezing my lungs.
This was it. This was the shot. I got out, slowly, trying to act casual, like I was just out for a walk. Took a deep breath, the kind that feels like it's scraping your insides. "Mrs. Vance?" I called out, my voice a little rougher than I intended. She looked up, a bright, genuine smile spreading across her face. "Alex, dear, oh my goodness, look at you. It's been so long." She put down her shears, wiping her hands on her gardening apron. We chatted for a few minutes, just small talk. The weather, how I was doing, how she was doing, all that normal stuff that felt completely fake right now, with my stomach doing flip-flops and my brain screaming questions. Then I cleared my throat. This was it. "Mrs. Vance," I started, trying to keep my voice steady, like it was no big deal. Like I was just asking about the price of milk. You wouldn't happen to know what happened to the house, would you? After Mark and Jake? You know, after they kicked me out?" She stopped smiling. Her hands, which had been reaching for another rose, just froze in midair. She turned, slowly, to face me fully. And that's when I saw it. Her eyes. They were gentle, yeah, but there was something else in them. Something deep. Something that looked like pity. Actual pity. Not the dismissive kind I'd gotten from Mr. Johnson, but something softer, heavier. My gut clenched. I braced myself. Okay, here it comes. She's gonna tell me how those bastards Mark and Jake really were. How they were always a little off, a little greedy maybe. How they sold the place for pennies and took off. Or how they stripped it bare. Something. Anything that fit my story. I was ready. I needed it to fit. "Oh, darling," Mrs. Vance said, her voice soft, like velvet, like a lullaby. "Mark and Jake didn't kick you out." The words hit me like a physical blow, just slammed into my chest. What? What the hell was she saying? My breath caught.
My whole body just went cold. She continued, her gaze fixed somewhere beyond me, at the sky, or maybe at my house. After your parents, after they passed, you started to change, Alex. That night, you ran out of the house. You were screaming, Alex, screaming about eyes in the dark and whispers in the walls. My mind, it just stopped. Ran out? Screaming? They, she went on, her voice filled with a profound sadness. Mark and Jake, they locked the door. Because they were worried about you, Alex. They just wanted to keep you safe from whatever it was you saw. She let out a long, shaky sigh, the sound barely audible over the rustle of the leaves. They tried to help you, Alex, but you wouldn't let them. My gut clenched. I braced myself. Okay, here it comes. She's gonna tell me how those bastards Mark and Jake really were. How they were always a little off, a little greedy maybe. How they sold the place for pennies and took off. Or how they stripped it bare. Something, anything that fit my story. I was ready. I needed it to fit. "Oh, darling," Mrs. Vance said, her voice soft, like velvet, like a lullaby. "Mark and Jake didn't kick you out." The words hit me like a physical blow, just slammed into my chest. What? What the hell was she saying? My breath caught. My whole body just went cold. She continued, her gaze fixed somewhere beyond me, at the sky, or maybe at my house. "After your parents, after they passed, you started to change, Alex. That night, you ran out of the house. You were screaming, Alex, screaming about eyes in the dark and whispers in the walls." My mind, it just stopped. Ran out? Screaming? They, she went on, her voice filled with a profound sadness. Mark and Jake, they locked the door. Because they were worried about you, Alex. They just wanted to keep you safe from whatever it was you saw. She let out a long, shaky sigh, the sound barely audible over the rustle of the leaves. They tried to help you, Alex, but you wouldn't let them. My whole world just shattered, like a glass dropped from a skyscraper. I felt it splintering, the sharp edges digging into my soul. I ran out? I was screaming? Eyes in the dark? Whispers in the walls? What the actual fuck? What was she even talking about? Every single memory I had built, every single piece of the story I'd clung to, the betrayal, the ugly arguments, the duffel bag already packed, the sound of the lock clicking behind me, it all evaporated, just vanished like smoke in the wind. My beautiful, simple script about human greed and selfishness, it crumbled to dust right there at my feet. If Mark and Jake weren't the villains, if they were just trying to protect me, then what the hell did I run from that night? What could have possibly been so terrifying that my own mind had to invent a whole damn betrayal story just to cope with it? To make sense of the madness? I just stood there, rooted to the spot, my body stiff. My ears picked up the chirping of birds, the gentle hum of the neighborhood, the sweet, cloying scent of Mrs. Vance's roses. And suddenly, it all felt so alien, so wrong. Scary. The house, my house, the one that used to be this big, bitter monument to my loss, to the ugly side of people, now it just loomed there, a terrifying, silent memorial to some unnamed horror, something forgotten, something I myself had pushed so deep down, my brain rewired itself to avoid facing it. If it wasn't them, I whispered, my throat dry, my voice raspy. Then what was it? The question screamed in my head, louder than any whisper I'd heard before. And the shadows around me, they suddenly seemed too deep, too dark, too damn close. And then I heard it. The whispers. Clearer than ever. It wasn't just in my head this time. It felt like it was slithering out from the house, right towards me.
calling my name. Alex, Alex.